Monsieur Jean-Pierre Dizarène, Secretary General of CIFA, Mr. Pierre Christodoulidis, President of CIFA, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really delighted to speak at the 15th International CIFA Forum, and though unfortunately I cannot be there with you physically in person, I am with you through these virtual means thanks to technology. The recently adopted 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, with its 17 Sustainable Development Goals that are called SDGs, well, it calls for leaving no one behind. And now member states have embarked on implementing the agenda in a very integrated manner. We in the Division for Social Policy and Development at the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs are very committed to leaving no one behind and promote prosperity and well-being for all of all ages. And one of our strong mandates derives from the 1995 Copenhagen Summit on Social Development, which is to eradicate poverty among vulnerable groups of people. You see, poverty is at the center of the global agenda. Poverty is a challenge faced by all countries, developed and developing, landlocked or small islands. The 2030 Agenda also recognizes the necessity of multi-stakeholder partnerships to deliver on its promises and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Therefore, the private sector and civil society play an important role, complementary role, alongside with member states in achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 1 that aims to eradicate poverty. Business, financial institutions, to mention a few, can work well together with governments and other stakeholders to ensure that poverty is eradicated by providing secure employment, stable income, social justice, and social progress, and by ensuring that these are provided in an environmentally sustainable way. Corporations are eager to take on businesses that ensure corporate social responsibility, leading to poverty eradication and sustainable development. We all know that the world has seen remarkable progress against poverty. More than 1 billion people out of 7 billion have been lifted out of poverty. We have witnessed considerable progress over the past 20 years to reduce poverty. And the adoption of international instruments to promote inclusive development and the integration of social groups has played an important role in achieving this progress. I think of the Copenhagen Declaration and Programme of Action of Beijing, and as well as the Platform for Action and the World Programme of Action for Youth. All these were adopted in 1995. And this progress continued with the Madrid International Plan of Action on Aging in 2002, and then followed the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, as well as the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, each adopted in 2006. So all these instruments have helped to guide governments as they developed national strategies to combat discrimination and intolerance, contributed to reduce poverty and inequality, and at the same time, they have supported and promoted greater participation of groups such as older persons, youth, indigenous peoples, and persons with disabilities in the labor market, the educational system, as well as in the political processes. Since people is at the center of all our efforts, let me spend a few words on a key element: the intimate and transparent relation between investments in human capital and the alleviation of poverty. Human capital refers to the skills, education, health, and the training of individuals. It is capital because these skills or education are an integral part of us that is long-lasting, in the way a machine, a plant, or a factory lasts. So, given the context of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the changing political landscapes, we need to recenter our attention on people, on our human capital, as well as find new and innovative solutions for eradicating poverty to achieve sustainable development that promotes participation and inclusion of all peoples of all ages. Achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in a changing world will require sustained political will to keep the issue of poverty on the top of the global, regional, and the national agendas. Countries will need to ensure that growth is inclusive, sustained, and equitable, that rising inequality is reversed, that markets work better for those in poverty, and that we protect the environment. Furthermore, eradication of poverty and promoting prosperity requires effective systems of social protection and ensuring that no one is left behind. Countries will also need to effectively be transparent and accountable, and public administrations and governance will have to show the capabilities to foster citizen participation and to raise domestic resources, as well as implement poverty eradication strategies. National efforts have to be complemented by international support and private sector investments. A mix of strong integrated policies and strategies and renewed partnerships are needed to end extreme poverty and put our planet on a sustainable path before it is too late. In these few minutes, I have shared with you some evidence that relates investments in education and other human capital to employment and earnings, health and mortality, fertility and feminicide, discrimination against girls and youth with disabilities in education, social justice, and economic and social inequalities that can also affect older persons and indigenous peoples in many other ways. I believe that investments in human capital are one of the most effective strategies to promote prosperity and raise the poor to decent levels of income and well-being. I wish success to your forum, and I trust it will contribute greatly to our collective efforts to eradicate poverty, especially in strengthening partnerships to support the implementation of the 2030 Agenda.